Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the August edition of VRM Insider. My name is Tracy Sanderson, and I'm your host. And just as we are waiting for the participants to enter today's webinar, just want to go over a few little housekeeping things. First, we just want to say, you're almost to the end of summer. You can do this. You're in the final stretch. All you PMs out there, you're almost there. We are right here, right up smack against Labor Day weekend. We know you guys have all had just banner years, and we're just so excited for you and the numbers that everybody is reporting for the 2021 season. And we just want to say, and of course, I'm talking to all of our beach clients, those of you on the beach, specifically the East Coast. We're just really excited for you. Hope that you have even an extended season, but I know that you guys are ready for some rest as well. So hoping you'll have a little bit of both. We are going to dive in today's webinar, and we are just going to take a really awesome look at the art of travel insurance, which I think is pretty fascinating. If you guys have questions today throughout the webinar, you can drop those in the Q&A section down below. There's a button at the bottom of your screen if you're on your desktop. If it's appropriate to stop at that point, I will, and I'll ask John the question. If not, we'll hold those questions until the end. If you guys are wondering, we are recording this session, and this will be available for replay. And I want to just say now, and I'll probably say it again 2 or 3 times throughout today's webinar, this is something that every reservationist on your team or anyone that has a touch point to any part of the sales process of your travel insurance, they need to watch this. Even if you do not use this specific product that John will talk about much later in the presentation today, even if you are not a Rental Guardian client, this is all information that you can use. So that's number one, share this with your team. We will be sending it out in recap form, so you'll get that directly to your inbox, or you can access it directly from the admin console in VRM. So it is my honor and my privilege to introduce you guys to John Slaughter. John is the Senior Vice President of Growth and Strategy over at Rental Guardian. We've done several different webinars with Rental Guardian in the past, but this one is quite different. This is a true, just 100% educational focus. John has taken his years of experience in this industry and then put it together so that essentially, as a person who has a touch point in the sales process of travel insurance, that you are fully equipped and ready to upsell that product and really just do your business, do your clients a great business. And I'm sure he's going to touch on this because they need the travel insurance. They're the ones who need to be protected. They need to protect their investment. And then number 2, obviously, it's an opportunity for low-hanging fruit as far as you as a company to be able to pick that and just how exactly do you do that. And so thus we have the art of offering travel insurance. So John is going to paint us a masterpiece, much like the Van Gogh painting you see in front of you, of how you guys can just master that art of travel insurance. So without further ado, John, take it away.
Thank you so much, Tracy, and welcome everybody. I certainly appreciate your time, and thank you very much to you, Tracy, for setting this up and for the continued partnership between Rental Guardian and VRM. We just really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of your amazing software and offer our programs directly connected via API. But you nailed it right on the head with regards to the way this this webinar is going to go today. Really going to drop a lot of nuggets for you to pick up and use if they're available to you, and give you a lot of information about how to be able to offer these programs in an effective manner, to be able to increase the take-up ratios and make your life easier with regards to working with a travel insurance program. So without further ado, I'm going to dive right in to our content today. First and foremost, not going to spend too much on who I am because Tracy did such a good job, but I am John Slaughter with Rental Guardian, and I've got almost coming up on 7 years now of experience here at Rental Guardian, working with managers on a daily basis and working with their travel insurance products. So I've had the unique ability to be able to have this experience and be able to extrapolate these items that I've seen to be able to deliver some best case scenarios for you that are hopefully going to help you and assist you with regards to your own programs and driving more travel insurance take up by your guests. Because at the end of the day, offering a program or working with a program is step one, but then having them actually purchase it and use it is the way, you know, that you need to go. So hopefully this is going to be helpful. Why offer travel insurance? That's a very broad question, but you know, if we were to drill it down, basically it's going to aid you in enforcing your manager cancellation terms and conditions. Nothing's worse than when you have a guest call you and has a scenario that could be very heart-wrenching and they have to cancel, but they've canceled within the time frame that there is basically a no refund policy, and now you and or your reservation agents have to be able to deliver that information. It's so much more difficult to tell them they don't get any of their money back in a cancellation situation when they don't have travel insurance, right? So if they do have a program, it makes it much simpler because you can confidently enforce your policies, and then of course point them to the underwriter to be able to file a claim and get reimbursed. That way it protects the relationship, because nothing spoils a relationship quicker than when you have to keep the money that you were paid and the guest has a reason that, you know, if they'd have taken travel insurance, they would have gotten reimbursed to them. And three, you know, these days, especially after COVID, guests are looking for a way to protect themselves. And, you know, most travel insurance programs, ours included, in the standard realm, will offer basic coverage that will protect against the big stuff, right? Delays, interruptions, COVID-19, quarantines, loss of job, travel restrictions, hurricanes and other natural disasters, or basically just maybe lost luggage or they twisted their ankle on a hike or something like that. So offering these programs is very thoughtful and a great way for you to be able to enhance the guest experience, especially when, you know, they're already looking for these and you're just making it very easy for them to be able to pick them up. Here's a fun fact. You know, while I'm a big fan of Van Gogh and his artwork, you don't have to start off and be Van Gogh when you're trying to, you know, paint a picture with regards to your travel insurance. Most of the time it's best to start like Bob Ross. And I say that very affectionately. As a kid growing up, I watched a lot of Bob Ross on the public access channel because we didn't have all the cable channels we had. But at the end of the day, if you start with these basics, you're going to be able to grow and fine tune that into a masterpiece with a little bit of effort and experience.
I love that so much, John. I feel like most, you know, everybody even listening to this can totally relate to that. You know, just start simple, the basics, the small. I mean, you know, but no less a masterpiece in and of itself. And while you were talking about, especially there in point number 2, and I promise I won't be long-winded, which I tend to do, but you know, I was just really thinking about our, you know, so many of our VRM clients, having walked through Florence, you know, just a few years ago, and you know, as a marketing department, and we offer marketing services to our clients, you know, the upheaval, because nothing will get people riled up like money, and you know, when people clearly, you know, they waived, they said no, they clicked the no box on the travel insurance, and then they're upset that, you know, they can't come on their vacation because, you know, there's 16 inches of sand on the island, and, you know, covering everything up. They don't understand, you know, and people take to social media and news outlets to voice their, you know, disgruntledness. And so I think, you know, like even part of that Bob Ross moment is really starting at like the pain points that you've had in the past in order to start to build on. And even looking at, you know, the floods that have just so recently happened in North Carolina, Tennessee, even in Phoenix. I know there was a lot of, you know, flooding out there recently. You know, it's just, you never know what's going to happen. And thus the travel insurance and how critical it is to the traveler, and then your business as well, and your reputation.
So true. I'm glad you were able to bring that up because, at the end of the day, um, if you offer it and they say no, and they're, maybe would have changed their mind down the road, some of the stuff we're going to get into is how to be able to craft an ecosystem of opportunity for them to not just be one and done, but to be able to have time to, think it over or change their mind or have something else impact their situation to be able to get access to it when it's, while it's still available. So that was great content. I should add that as an additional slide because you nailed it so well. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide here. So with regards to every artist, right, they're going to have their tools, right, their brushes and their additional items that they use to be able to craft that masterpiece. And actually crafting a masterpiece is much easier than you think. You probably have access to all of these items right now as I walk through them. It's just a matter of being able to enhance and use them efficiently and bring them together into that ecosystem like I just talked about to be able to craft that masterpiece for your business. First and foremost, your software and your website and booking engine. Having the program integrated directly in the path of the booking is critical, and thankfully and luckily and professionally done, VRM has done that for you with regards to the way that they offer the travel insurance programs. So that way, when the guest is ready to make a purchase, the guest can decide if they want the travel insurance and have it be added to the process. And then, of course, we as a company offer two programs, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But having a standard program at the minimum is critical. But then if you have a program or if you use us like that, we offer a cancel for any reason program that's an enhancement to the standard, which then gives people a plan B if they don't have a covered reason in the scenario. And like I said, I'll walk through that a little bit later. A software trigger email system, basically a way for you to send out emails to your guests automatically through your software. Having those types of things working and including a travel insurance type branded email out to your guests is information that they can use at a later date. And that ties into a travel insurance microsite. Most of the providers out there will provide some way for a guest to be able to go and visit an online portal of some kind to be able to purchase or interact with their policy after they make a booking. At Rental Guardian, we have what we call a branded microsite. It basically allows for not only purchasing very easy 24/7, but also interacting with the policy. Having access and using that and pointing people to it as a secondary way to purchase travel insurance is a huge benefit and a dramatic increase in the production that you'll see with regards to using that sort of portal effectively. And then, of course, your website. It still blows my mind how many people don't have travel insurance easily accessible through their website. And we'll cover ways to do that and some things that you can do that are very simple, probably things that you could do in the next, if you got off this webinar in 15 minutes, that would then dramatically increase people who are looking for these types of programs. And then, of course, training for your team. It's critical that your team members are comfortable talking about travel insurance and not trying to sell travel insurance, right? Of course, technically they are selling it because they're offering it, but not to mentally think like that, to more advise folks on, the benefits of the program and maybe relate real world stories about guests that have had travel insurance and how much it protected them. So that way they can relate more easily with regards to understanding what it will do for them. And some simple training will be big. So if your current travel insurance provider doesn't provide additional training or one-on-one training with your team, you want to probably look for somebody else that will. For instance, we provide training for some of our larger accounts. We'll provide training twice a year. We'll do it pre-peak season. And then, normally if it's a winter summer market, then we'll do it before winter and before summer. That way, when the shoulder seasons and the off seasons come to play, you're not using the knowledge as much. But then when things ramp back up and you're booking hot and heavy, you want to make sure that language that got rusty comes back to them. So we always like to try and provide additional training to team members to be able to keep them on point and talking and comfortable about the program. And then, of course, if somebody asks you questions that are deeper than your knowledge, we educate on how to be able to refer folks to the information. Whether you're referring them to that third party, that additional microsite that we talked about earlier, or to an expert that can be reached by the phone, that's always important to be able to get people in front of the person that can answer those questions, and then have them come back and then basically not bother you, but go through a microsite to be able to purchase that. Once again, you're just basically pointing them in the right direction and giving quality service. And then licensing. Licensing is for us, because of the way that we offer our programs, pretty simple, but we have experts on our insurance agency team that basically can walk you through what you need in your destination to sell to your home state residents and residents outside your home state that come to visit you. But usually it's pretty simple. So don't be afraid of, oh, I need to get licensed and I have to take a test and become an insurance agent. Absolutely not. I'm a licensed insurance agent. It was a difficult process, but you don't have to do anything like that. Basically, you only have to follow a couple of steps and maybe pay a fee to your state, and you're good to go. And we can obviously walk you through that if you want to use our program. So let's dive into this list. First and foremost, let's talk about the booking engine, travel insurance products, and being API integrated. One of our clients, which is Carolina One, they have, as you can see in their booking engine, which is, I sort of cut a piece of it out. Their booking engine is much more robust than this, but this is the part that I needed to show, is the travel insurance. And here you can see down here is, once again, right when they're ready to pay $5,528, they can decide if they would like to protect their trip for $387. And that basically would cover against all those types of items that could get in the way of their trip. Cancellation reasons like hurricanes, or I got sick or got COVID or have to quarantine. With all the COVID information that's going around right now, everything points to it, things are ramping back up a bit. And if that's the case, and one of their kids was at school and got plucked out of class because they have to quarantine for 10 to 14 days because of COVID, and you're set to leave on a vacation, you can't get on a plane, that could be a difficult situation. Having travel insurance to protect yourself is perfect. Offering it at this critical point is so key. Everybody that has, is working with VRM has this built in. So they've got you handled. They've got you taken care of. And then here, you'll notice that the checkbox or the radio button is selected as no thank you off the bat. The reason why, travel insurance is an optional program to be taken up by the guest. You are not allowed through offering this program to be able to pre-check any sort of box for the guest in advance of them deciding for themselves. So this is what you see right here is totally compliant. But once again, if somebody is like, nah, I'm not interested, and this is your only offer or only opportunity to procure the travel insurance for your guest, then you're really doing yourself a disservice with regards to the ability to impact folks. So this is a perfect example of how to do it. And like I said, step 1, step 2, and step 3, VRM's got you covered. Trigger emails. I go into trigger emails briefly here, and this is not suggested content. This is just example content of the path to take with regards to offering it. But you should think about a couple of different scenarios, and there's 3. Number 1, with us, we have 2, if yes or if you cancel for any reason, and that's our scenario. Other providers only have if yes standard or if no standard. So whatever your situation is, this is going to be beneficial to you, because in a trigger email, if the guest comes through that booking path that you just saw and says, yes, I want travel insurance, and adds it, well, then that's fantastic. They've got the program. But what's important is that that guest might also be traveling by airline, or might have fishing charters or other theme park tickets or other excursions that they've booked that are all part of their vacation experience. So if somebody purchases travel insurance from you, don't think that that's the end of it, because they also might then go and book their airline tickets. And if you are thoughtful and send an email out in advance of them booking their airline tickets, basically after the booking, you can then have them add those airline tickets to your travel insurance policy, thus giving them a very easy way to be able to have everything covered all in one place under the same rules, but at the same time, drive more coverage and more revenue for your business, because all travel insurance programs, including ours, will offer you an incentive for offering the program. And when people take it up, you're driving revenue to your business. So having that done is going to be super, super thoughtful. Also, with regards to sending emails out and having these types of emails go out in a no thank you situation. If somebody leaves the box checked as no thank you, then here's what we would suggest: that you send them a thoughtful email after the fact to say, hey, thank you so much for your booking, but we noticed you didn't purchase travel insurance. Travel insurance will protect you against this, this, and this. You can name, a couple of items like hurricanes, sickness, or loss of job. If you're interested in learning more, click here. Once again, talking about that microsite or that travel insurance portal, you would want to point them to that third party, through the travel insurance company that you use, to be able to then revisit the program after they make the booking. And once again, if my family and I were going on a vacation and we just spent $5,000 on a vacation, they might not be too interested in spending an additional $378 right at that particular time, because they're like, oh, I wasn't planning on spending an additional, 7% or whatever the cost is right now. And they might not be interested in it. So they're thinking with a very money-based brain. But then 2 or 3 days later, they might have seen some information, or the smoke off their credit card has dissipated, and they're not so worried about the funds that they just spent. Even though you book in a vacation, some people might go through a little bit of buyer's remorse. You can then hit them at appropriate time and offer this program, and they might be like, well, yeah, I just spent $5,000. I want to protect it. What do I do? Having a clear, easy path for them to be able to get that at that particular time is a great way to increase take-up ratio. Also, know the parameters of when your guests can offer, when you can offer it and the guest can take up travel insurance. I can only speak from our program, but our program, as an example, allows the guest in the standard policy to take that up all the way up until 30 days prior to their arrival. So if they booked 5 months prior, they literally have 4 months to reconsider travel insurance. So that's why down here, I put, you may want to send a few different emails talking about 1 day, after 3 days, 10 days, 45 days, whatever the case might be, to be able to then send those types of emails out and allow for those types of things to be able to resonate with your guests and point them in the right direction to get the coverage that they're looking for. In a last minute scenario, these types of things have to happen very quickly, within a day or so, 3 days, or so. So that way, just understand the parameters. And if you're using Rental Guardian and you want some assistance with this kind of thing, we are really good at dialing this in for you. And we're happy to walk you through and get this set up. So it's, your offering sort of runs itself. Talking about your website. Now, this is a good friend of mine who's in the industry. This is his website, and he told me I could use it. So I wanted to make sure that, I'll give him a shout out to Foreign Realty. But in regards to putting it and making it easy and accessible on your website, right here, you can see he's got all of his information, and then boom, travel insurance. That's a great thing for ease of access for people who are crawling on his website, doing searches, or looking for a program, right? If you have it buried in a menu, say if you were to have guest services and then you have it buried in a menu, on the front page of your website, it might not be as accessible. So if you were to send out an email, you would want to not point people to the front end of your website with a specific travel insurance notification. You would want to point them directly to the page that's in this menu of services, not have them have to try and find it. People have a very low tolerance for spending time looking for things. And so if it's not super easy, super accessible, 1 to 2 clicks, they're not going to go much further than that. So always point them to the right place for the content they're looking for. And in this particular case, you can see that, he made it very big and very bold with regards to his menu, and having that right in their face is going to point and promote more travel insurance.
Yeah,
talking
and
about, oh, go
John,
ahead.
just really quick, just in case we have people on the call today or watching this later, who
Mhm.
don't speak website language.
Oh,
So
sure.
what John is trying to say is that you need to provide people with a direct link to your travel insurance page where they can go to get that information. So if you don't already have that built out on your website, that needs to be built out on your website as a page. And then in your email campaigns that you do, in those drips, you're going to be, have click here and you're going to highlight that and you're going to drop that page's link or URL into that. And if you're a VRM client and you're scratching your head and you have a VRM hosted website and don't know what he's talking about, don't know what to do, that's where that's part of our maintenance agreement. So just send us a note and we can help point you in the right direction through the help desk. And if you don't have that page built out, then we could certainly talk about that as well.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much for that, because it's a big enhancement. And I can't tell you how many times, for instance, once they do point people to the information, it's just basically content and there's no way for the guest to procure the program. So in going back to that microsite, the key to effective travel insurance sales via your website is to get the guest in front of the information as quickly, as easily as possible. Try and keep it within 1 to 2 clicks. So if they have an email that they received from you from a drip campaign, then have that go directly to the page that you have built for that program. Or even as another opportunity, once again, if your travel insurance provider offers a microsite similar to like what we do, you can point them directly to that microsite and have that be a direct portal for them to be able to go and review it. I always like to point people to your website because they also might interact with other services. But once again, having it between 1 to 2 clicks is always most effective. Also, having a way for your guest to be able to purchase the coverage via your website is also a pretty significant way to be able to increase travel insurance. Now, what I've shown you here as a mock-up is a page that we helped him put together, and he just dropped in an iframe. If you're not familiar with what an iframe is, it's basically a piece of HTML code that takes a link to a website and allows it to show up on a blank page in your website. So it's basically a website within a website. And in setting something up like that, here you can see what he did is he just dropped in an iframe and brought in our microsite to be able to make it look like it's on his website, and they can purchase now and do all of the things that they want to do. Most people that don't take advantage of this scenario, right, would then do something like this, which would then be a page dedicated to travel insurance. But my suggestion is you don't bombard them with all kinds of information on your website. Allow for that travel insurance portal, or like a microsite through us, to be all of the content that they consume. And by doing that, you're basically going to maybe just have a link that clicks to that portal or microsite and allow for that to do the work that it's supposed to do. However, if you ever, and this is just an SEO advice, if you ever put a link that goes to a third-party website that goes outside of your website, always make sure that it doesn't leave your website, that it opens a new tab or a new window. That way, the person stays on your website, but then opens a new tab, so that way they can work with whatever content that you link them to. Either way, iframe type page or direct page with the link to the portal that you're using, those are great ways to be able to have people come to your website and then have them go directly to the content. Or you can just have them go directly to the content and not go to your page. But I always like to send people to your page because it always helps when people are going direct for SEO, makes you more relevant in the space because the inbound links coming in are from marketing materials. Now, this is something that I dropped in here just last night. We are actually launching an enhanced version of our microsite. This is what our microsite looks like right now. This piece, Protect Your Trip and Down. So you can see that this is the current version. This is the new version. We're super excited about this. It's very vacation destination. If you're on the beach, this is going to be similar to what you'd see if you were using our system. Or we also have some backgrounds for mountain ski and things like that. But once again, something very current, looks like a very professional website, and allows for people to digest the content very quickly and get what they're really looking for, which is how much is it? How much is it going to cost me? And they can generate that stuff there. Sorry, that was a shameless plug in the middle. I apologize. With regards to your microsite and your portal, some important things that you want to look for that, that can be very efficient and make you more effective in offering travel insurance. First and foremost, if they go to that portal, you want to make sure that they can actually purchase the coverage. Online is best because most people don't want to leave the online experience and then make a telephone call or send an email requesting whatever. Having a purchase now button on your portal that you use is super important to increasing take-up ratio and really starting to paint a masterpiece like we talked about. Also, that information should also allow for folks to be able to work with their protection. Like for instance, if they took it through the API previously and then with booking through you, and then they go to this to be able to, or they call you up and say, hey, how do I add travelers? Or, hey, I'd like to add my attraction tickets to Disney. What can I do? Well, in that particular case, here in this one, this is ours, just using it as an example, you can see that they can add additional coverage, cancel coverage, add travelers, and resend their information to them if they don't have a copy of it. And of course, they can view all the available products. Simple items like that, making it easier for your guests to get access to what they're looking for is important. And always just make sure that it's easily accessible to them with regards to interacting with their policy once they've purchased it. And then of course, if they lose their coverage, they might call you and say, hey, I don't have a copy of my policy and I'm traveling in 2 weeks, what do I do? Now, a microsite is very beneficial, so you don't have to do the work. You can point them to that portal and they should be able to get in copy and get a download of their policy directly. And really all they would need would be like their email address and their policy number, and that should do it. But anyways, it's helpful things like that to get people to use the tools, makes the whole process more convenient and builds customer relationships and trust through the program. Team training. I really like this because it's watercolor, a different type of art. Not my favorite. I'm more of a Van Gogh type, but beautiful nonetheless. It's hard to be confident if you don't feel comfortable. And I think that's sort of a no-brainer statement, right? If you're not comfortable in something, you're not going to be confident in speaking about it. So you just might choose not to talk about it at all. Or if you do, it's not going to sound very, easy to use. And then your guests might be like, nah, I'm going to pass on that. So getting your team to be comfortable is the key, whether it's just you or whether it's you and a whole crew of agents that work for you. Getting comfortable with the program is important. So reviewing the program, maybe adding it to meetings that you have to talk about it. And then any questions that your people have, to have those be able to be answered in an efficient way by your provider to then deliver that information to your people so they can use it when they're speaking and or communicating about the program is very helpful. Also, access to information and tools. You don't want to be fussing around with stuff when you're talking to a guest as an agent, but having a cheat sheet or a flyer accessible to your people with some bullet points that allows for them to know what to say or reminders of what to say or to bring up when they're talking about it. Once again, very helpful. Also, nobody should try and sell travel insurance because that's where trust erodes. It's very good if you're going to talk about the program to basically just outline the fine points, just the basics, and then maybe tell an example, a short story, 10, 15, 20 seconds that allows for that communication to be received by the guest and be like, oh yeah, I could see that would be beneficial. Okay, right? Something simple. Always keep it simple. Also, knowing what to say is one thing. Knowing what not to say is another. And I use this example when I talk about this. If somebody comes at you with a question This leads into number 5 bullet point as well. And they say, hey, I looked at your policy online, right? You provided them all the information, and I read the information, and on page 3, paragraph 4, sentence 2, it talks about pre-existing conditions. And I had a question about that. That right there is a big red flag. None of your people should be diving into that sort of question and or content, because you don't want to be the one that gives maybe the wrong information, and then that guest takes what you said and thinks it's right, files a claim, and then is blaming you for something that you really should have not even gotten involved with. So having a really easy, simple way for questions like that to be answered is super important. A telephone number, an email address, online, frequently asked questions, stuff like that. Content that you can provide or your agent can provide to be able to get that guest the information they're looking for is key. And then, of course, once they have their questions answered, if they haven't purchased the policy, that circles back around via that ecosystem idea, and then have that go back to your Microsite or travel insurance portal to be able to purchase online to get the policy that they're looking for now that their questions are answered. Another key thing, if you're talking about it as an agent or in the reservation process to somebody on the phone, assume they want it. Don't assume that it's going to be something they don't want, because that's going to come across in the way that you talk about the information. So assume that they want it and allow that to be for them to be able to say, no, I don't think I'm interested. Oh, okay, no problem. And then move on. It's as simple as that. Don't need to be anything more difficult. But assuming that they want it is critical in being confident and comfortable in talking about it. And then, of course, all the programs in the industry, per the regulators, offer a 10-day free look, meaning that it's very simple for you to simply say, hey, and by the way, let's add it now. And if you're not, you read the policy once you receive it. And if you're not interested, you've got 10 days to call us up and say you don't want it, and we'll refund your money. No questions asked. Keeping it as simple as that is very easy for you and your agents to be able to offer the program. Be confident in that they can, after they review it, if they're not interested, they can give it back. But then after that 10 days, that policy does go into place, and then they have the protection they're looking for. So let's recap really quickly. We call it an ecosystem because all of these tools that you're going to be using through your VRM system and through your travel insurance provider should be able to all just sort of relate to each other and allow for your guests to travel along this ecosystem path and allow for them to be able to sort of organically and or naturally move towards purchasing and or using the programs that you offer. The integration, the different types of programs that are available, marketing, purchasing online, training for your team, and of course, getting questions answered, and then you being comfortable as a provider, making sure that you are set with your home state to be able to offer the program, are all keys that allow for you to be comfortable and allow for that program to really gain momentum and offer more protection to your guests. Here's where we talk about our program. If you're not familiar, we offer a standard and cancel for any reason program that are sort of a better, best scenario. Our standard protection has 30 covered reasons. We believe it's one of the most in the industry with regards to the standard reasons that people can cancel. They have COVID, they lost their job, etc. Where we stand head and shoulders apart is that we offer a backup plan or a plan B that allows for your guests to then enhance that standard coverage with what we call cancel for any reason. It's only 3.8% more to the cost of the trip, but it literally works as a backup. So if that guest doesn't have one of these 30 covered reasons and they were not going to have coverage, if they have cancel for any reason, they can literally cancel for any reason as long as it's more than 2 days prior to arrival and be able to get 60% back. Me as a traveler, if we looked at that reservation we peeked at earlier on the website example, I would much rather get 60% back of my almost $6,000 than be told, sorry, you don't have coverage for that reason that you're canceling. So it covers everything else. Offering both is a great way for you to be able to offer your guests a better, best scenario. And of course, we are proud to partner with Nationwide. Don't question the power of the jingle. This Nationwide is on your side jingle. You're probably singing it in your head now, and I apologize because it'll probably stick with you the rest of the day. But know that having a trusted brand as a partner is obviously critical. People know a brand, they trust it, they will naturally be more easy. It'll be easier for them to be able to take it up. We also offer damage protection. This is completely off topic, but if you're interested in those programs, ours is a little bit different. We offer you as the covered party as a manager, which makes that the guest is not involved in the claims process. You hold all the cards, not the guest. We make the program mandatory, which then means that you can bake it into every booking. So that way you don't have to worry about whether the guest has it or they don't. And then of course, when you have to file a claim, we pay replacement costs, like in kind, meaning that you're going to get what you need, because other folks in the marketplace will have depreciation on an object. And if you have a TV that was broke and you file a claim and they paid you $350 because it was 2 years old and you need $500 to replace it, how are you going to go out and buy a brand new 2-year-old TV? You can't do it. So it's not serving you the best as it could. We pay replacement costs. So if you need $500, you get $500. Rental Guardian, we are a API connected partner with VRM, which means there's no reports to run. We do all the work between our two systems. Filing claims for your guests would be done online, by phone, or through email. They have any option that they want. Our program, if you use our damage protection or travel insurance, you're able to find and view all your policies in a single easy-to-use dashboard. And then if you're filing claims for damages, our program makes it about 90 seconds for you to be able to knock out a claim and move on to whatever else you need to do throughout the day. There's no reports to run. It all runs itself pretty much, and it automates things. So that way you don't have to worry about missing items or missing a deadline with regards to damage programs and stuff. InsureStays is our agency. They are our sister company underneath the same roof in our corporate office in Pawleys Island, South Carolina. And we work with multiple underwriters, which makes us different. Most insurance providers work with one underwriter that they're affiliated with because it's them. We work with multiple underwriters, makes us different. And we have multiple products that you can take advantage of. Some new ones that are coming down the pipe here in the next couple of 30 to 45 days would be rain refund. If you're interested in something like that, we can certainly send out a brochure talking more about what that is. And then of course, coming soon, we're going to be offering Project Second Look, which is an automated email marketing and text marketing program that will connect to VRM. Once all that's done, we'll send out a notification, but it's coming soon. And it'll definitely drive travel insurance take-ups by your guests because it's automated and you don't even have to do it. But until that happens, I would suggest you take advantage of some of the tips we delivered today. And other than that, most people ask me, well, how do I get started? Well, if you want to get started with Rental Guardian, it's pretty simple. We need about 10 minutes. You go through an activation form. You fill out rentalguardian.com/activation. We then take that information, get you approved by the underwriter, set it up, send the API key over to VRM, and it's launched. It's good to go. Very, very simple. Hardly any time out of your day to get started. Or if you're interested in scheduling a one-on-one, I called it a consultation. That word kind of bugs me. If you want to chat on the phone for a few minutes to answer questions, then I'm more than happy to do that, to help you no matter what questions you may have. I'm happy to do that. And then there's my contact information down at the bottom. And with that, Tracy, I want to say thank you so much for allowing me to bring this information today. I hope it was helpful. Hope I gave you some gold nuggets that you can put in your pocket and implement in your business. And thank you all very much for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. We really appreciate this. We feel like we sat through a really, really great dynamic class today. So again, those who are watching and those who watch on replay, this is definitely information that you want to get in the hands of everyone in your company that has a touch point in this process. We did have a couple of questions. So I'm going to start with the first one, which was, is there a way to set up these automated emails about travel insurance within Welcome Home, which is our email system inside our software? And the answer is yes. And so that's called a second chance travel insurance message. For those of you who I think probably all of you know the wonderful Lauren here at VRM, she is our Welcome Home maven. So if you have a question about that, if you're not familiar with how to set it up, or you try to set it up and then you run into any issues, just send us a message over at the help desk help at vrmgr.com. And we will be sure to get that into the hands of probably Lauren or somebody else who can handle walking you through that process. You will be able, like John mentioned, you can set it up for ever how many days after the initial trigger, which would be the reservation made. So either hours or days or even months after that initial reservation. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so we've already taken care of that for you. We've made it really, really easy for you to send that out. And then we also, John, and I hope this is not too hard of a question, but someone is asking, is Master Cancel coming back?
Oh my goodness, Master Cancel. Talk about a program that really just stood the industry on its ear. Master Cancel, well, we were like the Beatles for a while there. Everybody wanted Master Cancel, and no doubt for good reason, because of what it provided. And I'm happy to say that yes, Master Cancel, although I don't think it'll be called Master Cancel, it'll have a new name. But yes, version 2.0 of the program will be launching, we hope, by the end of this year. So stay tuned, because that will be a big, big deal. And if you know the power of that program and how it delivered flexible terms and conditions for you to be able to then, basically take the fuss out of any cancellation for whatever reason, it really was something special. So yes, we're super excited to say that yes, it will be coming back. But I'm hopeful by the end of the year. I know that it's close, and it's coming soon for sure.
Wonderful. Well, that's great news. Awesome news. So there you go. There's the answer to that question. I don't see any other questions in the chat at the moment, but I was thinking over a few things in my head. John, typically and you may have covered this, but just run back to it real quick. If someone files a claim, meaning a client files a claim, for various different reasons, how long is the turnaround before they actually see any kind of money in their pocket? What is the turnaround time for that?
So travel insurance, depending on the situation, right, or the cancellation reason. If, let's say, for instance, you were sick, and then you cancel because you're sick, your doctor said you can't go, but then at the same time you start to file a claim, then the travel insurance underwriter, to be able to provide you with that claim reimbursement, will need some confirmation from either your doctor or things of that nature. So it can actually be pretty quick, and I can't really give a time frame, but it can be 10 days to 2 weeks, or maybe a little bit less or longer, depending on if you have all your documentation for whatever cancellation reason that was. If you lost your job and you don't have that, pink slip that says, you've been furloughed or released because of this or whatever, then you would need to get that from your boss to be able to have that proof of cancellation for that reason. So there is some of the I's that need to be dotted and T's that need to be crossed in order to be able to release the funds. But I can tell you that their object goal is to be able to get that money back as soon as possible, because at the end of the day, if that situation was, let's say that one of your, let's say mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and the kids are going on vacation, and heaven forbid, say grandma or grandpa passed away, and now you're not going to go because of that. Well, in that particular case, that's a traumatic experience. And the last thing that any underwriter in travel insurance wants to do is to add additional stress to the situation. So they're going to do anything that they can, whether it's us or any other provider out there, because they understand that when somebody has to cancel, it's usually not something that they want to do. They want to go on vacation. And so, any underwriter out there is going to go out of their way to make that quick for them. The key is, as a guest, to have the information that they need to be able to provide the confirmation of that cancellation reason, so they can get reimbursed quickly. And many times something happens where they can't get it. That's where then, or it's delayed for whatever reason, that's where the length of time can grow, simply because they're not able to provide that confirmation to the underwriter. But it's never really the underwriter trying to make their life more difficult, at least things that I've found. So, but that's a great question. And as soon as possible is usually the key, as long as they have their information in hand.
Gotcha. Well, that makes total sense, and probably a great talking point too when people are relaying information as as they're making that offering is, we realize, like, acknowledging that if you have to travel, cancel your vacation, we realize that you're not doing that because you decided to go do something else that was more fun. Like, if
Right.
people who cancel travels, it's because there's something going on that's not as fun as a vacation. And that we're trying to help you get through those hard times.
That's
So
right.
that's probably a really great talking point too. There is one more question. This is a great one as well. What is the turnaround time for the guest to receive correspondence from Rental Guardian after purchasing travel insurance? Example, do they receive a policy number and information about the policy? And then how long does it take for them to get that?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. Once the information hits our system, then they would be in queue to receive that information. So it's pretty quick. And they would get that automated email that goes out that would then have access to their information with regards to the policy. And that goes out by email automatically. So there's nothing for you as a manager to have to do when you use Rental Guardian. I'm not sure about the other underwriters. I would assume that it's automated as well with regards to the information that goes out. But I know that once the information from VRM and a reservation hits our system, then that goes into the queue to then be able to, the policies established on our side, and then the information goes into the automated queue to be sent out. If ever, for whatever reason, let's say they were entering an information point and they type their email address in wrong. I type my email address or even spell my name wrong sometimes because I'm going too fast. If that were to be the case and they didn't get a copy of their policy, then it's super easy for somebody to then call in and get to our help desk to be able to have one sent out. Or as a user of Rental Guardian, as a manager, you would be able to do that for them if you wanted to, with regards to your access to the system by looking up their last name, clicking send information, and it literally takes you about 15 seconds. So pretty seamless scenario with regards to that. And it's all automated, so you don't have to worry about doing it yourself.
Yeah, that's great that the property manager can access that information as well. That's wonderful.
Yeah, some choose to, some like, I don't even want to bother with it, and they point them to us, which, once again, we will do our best to be able to assist and make that happen, no matter who comes to us.
Yeah, I think it's really nice to have that option, that it's not limited.
Exactly.
But sometimes to appease the client, right, or the guest, like that's what you're trying to do, right? If you're trying to make them happy, the best thing you can say is, "I'm going to look that up for you right now," and trying to keep them happy and all.
Exactly. Makes it simple. Takes about as long as it takes for you to log into your system, username, password, type in a search for their last name, pull up the policy, click resend, and it goes out right away.
Great. Well, I feel like all of our property managers have a little bit of maybe even some homework to go back and do with your team. I would definitely be wrangling my team together and saying, okay, guys, let's write out some of those real world scenarios. Let's talk through those. Let's say, let's talk about our greatest success and our biggest failures in that area, and how we can accomplish that. What testimonies do we have from people who've been so glad they bought the travel insurance, and then turned those into situations that you could actually relay to to guests who are on the fence about travel insurance, especially if you're talking to them, or even put them on your website as testimonials, right? Like, that would be a great thing to have on your travel insurance page. Have some testimonials of people, I'm so glad I bought the travel insurance because this happened and I was able to recoup some of my losses because of that.
I'm going to add that to this presentation. That's a fantastic idea.
Testimonials
are key.
Yeah, people love to hear what actual people have actually gone through before. And so, even that it's just such a great, it's powerful. It's really, really powerful. And just because I wouldn't do my marketing hat justice if I didn't say this is also really great information for you guys as property managers to share on your social media channels and in your just kind of newsletters and those kinds of things, talk about travel insurance. You know, at the beginning of hurricane season, talk about, I mean, I know people don't like to even talk about it, but you know what? An educated guest can make really good decisions, and those who aren't educated about it, you know, those are the ones who are going to get their feathers in a ruffle even more. But when you say, you know, you're on our email list, like we sent you an email, like it was there, you know, like we're providing the education and the information. Talk about the travel insurance, put it on your Facebook. You know, you can say, this is who we use as our travel insurance company. You can go check them out. Or did you know that, and state some facts. And I'm sure John and his team at Rental Guardian, if you use them, you know, they could give you some of those facts that you could like put up as little poster pieces on your social media channels to get people talking about this. Or, you know, did you know you can cover, you know, your $5,000 vacation home for as low as, you know, $400 or whatever the case might be, you know, kind of give those ballpark numbers. If you're, you know, happen to go through a bad situation. So I think that there's a lot that you guys can do with this, and so many different directions that you can go as a team. And we're really excited to hear about it. So I hope that if you are in the market for travel insurance and travel protection, that you would give John a call and at least, you know, just hear what they have to say and let them put their product up against what you're currently using. Like he's already said, they're fully integrated with VRM's latest API, which is very important. And all that means is that their system talks to our system in the most current language that we both use. So they're talking back and forth to each other, which is really, really important. And that we have a really good relationship with each other as far as companies. So you know, those are all things to consider. And that if this is going to be educational material that you can use year after year after year, in addition to what John and his team offers as well. So you've got the information to train and encourage your team. And I want to just say it again, because I know it's all, whenever you have an opportunity to, like I said in the beginning, to pick some of that low hanging fruit, and travel insurance is just one great way to just increase your bottom line in such an easy format. A lot of it's automated, and it's really easy to grab that and then and increase your profitability. So I'm sure John could talk to you guys more about that too. So anything else you want to add, John, before we close today?
No, just thank you everybody for your time. Appreciate it. And happy to chat with anybody that has questions, or if we can assist in any way, just let us know.
All right, guys, so I will have a replay out of this. Hopefully tomorrow you will see that hit your inboxes, if not Monday at the latest. And it'll also be available on our website via our blog post, and it'll be on the admin console. If you guys, again, if you need John, his information is here on the screen, and we'll be sure we include that in our recap as well. And until then, we hope there are no more floods or hurricanes or any other things. This year has had enough. We've had enough for the last 2 years, for 10 years. We're done. We're ready. We're over it. So just wishing you all a great rest of your summer, and we'll see you back here on VRM Insider in September. Bye, everybody.